Hey, what's up, guys? And we finally have The Northman, and it's honestly a pretty good movie in this sea of garbage that we keep getting. Maybe it's just that there hasn't been really anything worthwhile in a long time seeing that doesn't have like a superhero in it, or maybe that's why it makes it better to me. But either way, I enjoyed watching it. But before I get into it, I want to thank you for listening and comment below what you thought of it. So basically, without giving too much away, but minor spoilers, so this is your warning. This is your basic revenge story of a dad getting killed, and this sets the son on a path of revenge. But what really sets this apart from a lot of other movies like this is how real the whole Viking lore and the story behind like how the Vikings used to be behind it. It really is. The great thing that Robert Eggert does, and what I've really noticed about all his movies, is how much research he does on like the time, the culture, and the people, and it really shows. This isn't your like typical Netflix or whoever Viking movie. I think the reason I never really got into any other like Viking shows or movies is because how fake looking it kind of is. Like everything still looks very clean and they talk proper. I don't know. Maybe it's just that the Vikings I don't like. I had pictured in my head. So this could just be a me thing, but anyways, this for sure isn't your typical Viking movie. It's very dark and dirty and violent, and I loved it. This is what like a Viking era look to me. Everyone's just trying to survive. Everyone's poor, barely hanging on, and the raid scene at the beginning was so well done. Even like the prep work that these raiders were doing beforehand was intense. They were all pumping themselves up and they were hitting and shouting like wild beasts. And I guess like that's how you'd have to be if like before you go on a raid and you start killing everybody. You could see that like most of the men have had their like humanity stripped away from them and replaced with this animalistic sense just to kill and survive. And it was just interesting to see how the Vikings would train and prepare their men to go and do all these things that had to be done, namely like rape and pillage. The weakest part for me in this movie is the characters. There wasn't like much to them. The main one, he did a great job, and all the action looked good, and he brought this physicality and straight honestly TRT ejections he brought made it entertaining to watch, but there was a lot of downtime with him too, and that's where it kind of fumbles. Like there was a huge section where he was pretending to be a slave because we're just waiting for this prophecy to happen. So we gotta get to do stuff, I guess. So we just have him watching him do chores while we're waiting for this thing to happen. And that part, like I don't know, was maybe like 30-40 minutes, or at least it felt like it. And it was kind of long, especially since the characters are all kind of plain. Oh, and the romantic interest he finds before he gets to the place he finds or needs to be. I don't know what she is. She's kind of like a witch or something. She has like powers, I guess, because it really wasn't explained, or it was kind of implied powers because sometimes she'll just speak some incantations or words in a different language, and the wind blows a little bit. I don't. So I guess that means she has powers. But after that part, the movie gets back on track. It starts rolling again, and you see what Edgar does best, bringing the time period back to life. And that's what makes this movie so interesting. It's all the weird customs we used to do, like sacrificing people and animals because someone died or they were hoping for a better harvest. So, and I gotta say this again, how good the raid was. That alone is almost worth going to see this movie. I'm not sure how much rewatchability there is to it. William Dafoe's barely in it, so if you're hoping to see him in the movie, he stars in it for like a couple minutes, honestly. And there's a lot of screaming and yelling scenes, which is fun the first time, but I don't know how many times you want to watch all these men just scream and yell. And that's kind of where the problem is. It goes back to the original problem that there's really no good character to get behind. The only bad guy isn't that bad, actually. I'd say he's more stupid over anything else, and there was even like a comment from a soldier kind of saying the same thing. But without a good character to get behind, there's not much for us to want to see it again, other than maybe to watch a few parts again, because there was a lot of like world building stuff in between the action pieces, which is great. But I don't think anyone else and no one does it better. Everything looks so real, and the twist at the end, which was really isn't once you see it, but it does throw a little wrench in the story, so it's not so straightforward, and it did kind of work for it. The end volcano fight was good for the most part. It was okay. It was a bit too dark, so it kind of made it hard to see what was going on till like the very end when they were by some lava that gave it some light. But like every action scene in the movie was handled really well. So overall, this was a pretty decent movie. Definitely won't be for everyone on the count of how like dark, violent, and the world driving the plot forward. It's kind of a slow burn, and that may put people off. Like there's a whole part where he's being a slave, waiting around. Was great in a world building aspect, but kind of boring for a character one. And with his other two movies being, or at least having a character to focus and get behind, but this being a bit different, maybe it's not quite what people were expecting. I know people got a different impression from the trailer. The trailer was made it look like an action sense movie, but when you look at when you actually saw the movie, there was a lot more world building to it, so it was a much slower pace. So I think that maybe people got a different sense of what the movie was going to be. And all the violent and debauchery may not be for everyone. And there's a lot going on. Not one for the kids for sure, but it was a nice window into the time period. And if you like the Viking stuff, this is definitely one to check out, because I'm not really one into any of this Viking stuff, but I really enjoy the movie. It was a good watch, and it kept me entertained. Kept me entertained with it, but like I said, I don't know how much rewatchability there is with this movie. I may just watch like a couple parts out of it again, but watching the whole thing from start to finish, there's a lot of downtime. And once you've seen it, it's not really fun watching some of these parts again. Like when he was a slave, so you just watch him just do chores. That wasn't very entertaining to watch. Anyways, that's all I gotta say. Go check it out. I'd say it's worth your time, and maybe it's a good one to check out with the boys, because there's a lot of screaming and shouting and killing and raping and all that fun stuff. Anyways, I'll catch you next time.